On the morning of September the 5th of 2012, shortly before 9 a.m. in the morning, we did receive quite an earthquake here in Costa Rica. Categorized under the Richter scale at an amazing 7.6. It lasted some 40 seconds and was caused by subduction of tectonic plates, with the epicenter located approximately 50 miles northwest of Nativa, thus enabling us to get quite a good feel for it. Less than half the distance there, the main hospital at Punta Arenas did suffer some major damages and had to be totally evacuated handling all the patients into the rest of Costa Rica's hospital network. In regards to reporting the status of the complex, we can say that only minor slides happened, and the majority of these has frankly been already taken care of. In regards to Las Lomas, as our access within is limited, we can only report on a burst pipe which allowed us to see that water was coming out from under a door, and thus we made sure that we shut off that water supply in order to avoid the owner of the unit any further damages. In regards to Las Vistas, where perhaps most effects can be noted, Building 3 does portray many cracks on the outside walls that when closely inspected, it becomes noticeable that these cracks run exactly at the expansion joints that were intentionally built into the building. And it is our initial assessment is that the building is not structurally compromised, despite the fact that a lot of the plaster that covers the concrete finish, which later has a stucco cover over it, we believe that structurally the building is not compromised. It will be, however, through the coordination we're doing to have an official engineering inspection. We will await for the certification of the structural integrity of the buildings, and then be able to inform you better in that regard. As well as Building 3, Buildings 1 and 2 do display some similar plaster facade damage, mainly in the stairwells. Though not as intense, it is still visible. Inside the units, we do notice that mainly towards the corners around the kitchen areas of most of the buildings, where there's just a very structural, reinforced meeting of columns and beams, we do notice that there is cracks that have formed between the wall and these beams and columns, which we do believe reinforce the idea that it's the expansion joints doing exactly what they are meant to do. Perhaps one of the elements that shows damages throughout the units are the cracks that happen between the gypsum ceilings and the concrete walls. Here we portrayed the worst case groove, but mostly they are just minimal cracks. Now, knowing that everyone is okay and nothing catastrophic has happened, we'll share some of the visible effects on this morning's rocking, including the falling of some sliding door window panes that didn't break, luckily for this owner. More commonly, we found quite some messes caused by the falling of sometimes objects from inside refrigerators, creating a mess. May I make a note here? We did pick up all the food that we found that fell out of refrigerators. And the breaking objects, those we haven't picked up yet. There was just way too many of them. I think that every single unit had something break in this sort of regard. Anything from vases to lamps and to dishes mirrors and pictures, and just in general objects that break, even though some objects don't break, but nonetheless when tipped over and spilled become quite a mess. In some cases those messes being more serious, especially when they contain liquids and they spilled. Unfortunately, we did see quite a few amount of TV sets that fell over. Anything from flat screens to CRT tubes, or the cathode ray tube screen, and just on any type of furniture that they were standing on or contained within, they just fell over. Just a scene that repeated quite frequently, just obviously damaging of apparatus, and in some cases just being unfixable, just completely broken. While in other cases it seems like they kind of slid into place, and the owner was luckier. Even in a case where the tremor actually threw the TV set over a bed and landed on that safety. But the quake was strong enough that in the case where the cable TV screws into the TV set and that didn't give away, it actually broke and snapped off the TV, the connections. The moving of heavy objects was no exception. Lots of these heavy objects moved around, and we will have to be paying close attention to those such as the hot water tanks when they tried to pull themselves out of the wall, or in the case of the air conditioning units where they moved and they exercised pressure on the pipes. We will be checking as when we have a little bit more time better into those details. Despite some promises by the contractor, we will be looking very closely into the deal with the pergolas that are outside the buildings, as these I believe are having a little bit of structural compromise, and they have been separating from the walls, but when coming to this point it is getting rather dangerous, especially if we had some aftershocks. So the best suit to follow would be to remove them and then later decide how they can be placed more adequately. With respect to the elevators, we're having some issues with the elevators in buildings 1 and building 3. This is because the elevators, which operate on a system of counterweights, basically enabling the elevator to be operated by a smaller motor. These counterweights, which roll on a system, oversimplified, it would be a system of pulleys. Some of these guides and some of these pulleys, the counterweights have come off these guides, and therefore the elevator cannot go up and down. The company has been notified. They have been over already this evening, checked on the elevators. It's going to take a team from San Jose to fix them. You will understand there is quite a bit of work going on in general in Costa Rica, but they hope to at least fix one of them before the weekend, and perhaps the other one during the weekend or right after. Very important to mention, as Las Vistas has subscribed insurance policies, and these have been kept up to date. One of the first priorities we had this morning, after checking and seeing that structurally the buildings were okay, we started taking all the picture log and doing all the filing of the documentation in order to make sure that the insurance policies would be covering for all of the units, both the outside and the common areas, as well as the private areas. This is in regards to the building. And we did go ahead and rush ourselves into presenting this in timely manner. because the assigning of an appraiser is done in the order that the cases are filed. And knowing that there was going to be a lot of people filing cases in Costa Rica, we wanted to be amongst the first. So at this point in time, cases have been filed. Thus, in the meantime, only those subjects that we felt could go against, could make it any further damage, those have been picked up or collected or dealt with, and the rest we're just leaving as is, untouched, until we get a verdict from the insurance agency stating us that we can go ahead and continue cleaning up Las Vistas and bring it back to the glory that it enjoys. And these cases have been presented to INS or INS, which is the insurance agency, and we will hope that tomorrow we get to know which date the insurance agency is going to be coming. This is because we are not supposed to touch anything until the appraiser comes and makes their examination, unless we get granted permission, because there's a good enough log to back everything up. As for Las Brisas, there really isn't much to report, as no cracks nor damages are observed, except for the typical falling over of cups, dishes, and similar objects, therefore being possible to state that pretty much everything is okay over there. While it has been a busy day, definitely without any dull moments, and particularly after last week's events of gushing winds, news posts of which you can read at the nativaowners.com site, we do expect to provide you through our webpage with all the news regarding the outcome of these events and the coping at Nativa with all the effects after this earthquake. Perhaps the best advice for those planning to be here in the following days is just simply being mindset to either view or be engaged in some form of cleaning, as there will be plenty of that for all of us to do. Expecting to soon continue enjoying all the other scenes of the greatness and the majestuosity that we normally enjoy here at Nativa, and again, knowing that everything shall be okay and nothing catastrophic has happened, we would like to share with you an image that gave a few of us a smile at some point this afternoon. Here at Nativa, we will continue working and doing what it takes. This was Jimmy Buttman from NCPA.